Hi, I'm Ron Nutt. Welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutt. This time, we're going to be moving on to part 4 of the holiday gift guide. And as you can tell from here, or if you're listening to the podcast version of this one, I'll describe things for you. This is where we're going to get into some of the external USB batteries. And there's several things that we're going to be talking about here, and this is an easy gift for someone if you don't know what to get them. But if they've got a smartphone, depending on what type of camera they've got, if they've got an iPad, a tablet, at some point they may be caught out somewhere and the battery is going to be almost depleted. I know on a recent trip that I had my Osmo Pocket. At one point, the battery in the Osmo Pocket was down below 50%, which is, I don't like to cut it much more than that, just as a safety factor. So I pulled out my trusty battery. Now, there's two different ones we're going to talk about. Now, this one is the Anker PowerCore, and it comes with a nice little pouch and fairly nondescript battery. It's got two, I'll turn the angle here so you can see it's got two USB ports, and they're supposed to be both this plus IQ, which basically says it's able to sense based on the device it's plugged into how much power it can send, and it will send the most the device can handle. And then over here, get to my finger, I have to point in reverse on this, that this is where you plug in the charging cable. Now, in the little package they send you, of course, now here's going to be the cable you're going to use for charging. So the small end obviously goes into the USB battery, and then the larger end will go into whatever charger you're using. Now, you're not going to be able to charge this and charge something else at the same time. At least I wouldn't want to try to do that. So this doesn't take that long to charge up unless it's pretty fully depleted. And that's where, and we've talked about this in another video, the Anker Elite charger. Now this one has both IQ ports on it, so you can charge this Anker battery, or another we're going to show here in just a minute, fairly quick. Now the beauty with this one is the AC prongs, and for versions outside the US I would expect to see something a little bit different, but it just flips right back up in, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with something or this gouging or tearing into something. So it really is pretty straightforward. And when it's plugged in, you'll see that little, what looks like just a slot here. You'll see that light up blue, and that means you're ready to go. So this charges this in pretty good time. Now, I always like having a backup, and sometimes my backup have backups. Now, if you don't have the need, and this is a 13,000 rated battery, so it will have, I can completely recharge my Osmo Pocket or my smartphone about 3 or 4 times. So it's got some decent power behind it, and you can get them larger than this. But then if you're trying to travel light for shooting videos or whatever pictures that you're taking with, you may want to have one a little bit bigger. But if you're trying to travel very light, you also want to keep that in mind, because after a while this will get a little heavy. Now, what we're going to talk about here is what I call the lipstick battery. Now, Anker, it's going to seem like I'm picking on Anker products. They are not sponsoring this video. I just have liked the products I've found from them. I try to stick with one brand where I can, because that way, if there's a problem, I can say, hey, I've got your other products I'm not seeing this with. So there are advantages, but that's your decision. But now this is what I call the lipstick battery. It's a much more limited battery. It's about a 3,000 was milliamp hour, I believe, battery. So it's not going to be able to recharge like an iPad. But for a smartphone, Osmo Pocket, something smaller, you can at least get probably a charge of this, or enough of a charge to where you can get back to where your regular charger is, or if you have got a bigger battery and you just didn't bring it with you. Something to keep in mind when you are traveling, especially when you're in theme parks, amusement parks, they're not going to be a lot of outlets around. If they are, they maybe have safety guards over them where you can't get into them. But either way, you can't anticipate them being there. So you need to be prepared on your own, even if you're in a rental car. And even if it has USB functionality in it, you don't know if it's operating up to voltage. I had one time that I plugged in, and apparently there was a problem because I was with my Samsung Smartphone Plus that I had with me, the S9, and I started getting warnings out of the phone, insufficient voltage, so it wouldn't charge. So some devices, if they don't have that sensing capability, you might actually damage the device that you're plugging in to charge. So it's a good idea to not be dependent on the USB charging functionality in a vehicle, and have at least this, I treat like this like an emergency battery. So if everything else is, if I've already managed to deplete this one, this at least is a kind of a fail-safe to get me back to where I was. And that's where there are, and you've seen me talk about it in one of the other gift suggestion videos, where Anker does have a 2-port USB charger. I would use that over, depending, especially what's in a rental vehicle where you don't know what that vehicle's been through or what somebody may have done to it. After all, you've got to protect your gear, because if something happens to it, the rental company's not going to make good on it. So ultimately you have to protect yourself. But this really, and I mean, I've had this just a few months, been very pleased with it. The thing I continually seem to like on it is the fact that the prongs flip right in. So you don't have to worry about a cable going with this. You just take this and go on. So I do keep the pouch that the Anker 13,000 PowerCore came in, and this. Now I do have a supply of Velcro. So what I'll do is put something like this around the cord so it doesn't get all jumbled up. And I put this down in the bottom of the bag before, let me get back out. I'll put this down in the bottom of the bag so you're not going to risk it accidentally touching one of these terminals. And if you're really concerned, then I would put the cords in something else. But again, that's one more thing to keep up with. So really, these are ideal gifts for somebody who, if you're not sure what to get somebody, if they've got a smartphone, I don't think they're going to say no to one of these, because it's something that they may not think of for themselves, especially if you're on Facebook, YouTube, name the social media platform. You're going to be using up the battery more than you may realize. And especially if you are in a vehicle that's not yours, or you're not sure about how well the charging functionality is working, having something like this can be a real lifesaver, because especially if you get into an emergency situation, you need that phone to be able to work. And at least with this, even if you're down, it has 4 lights on it that will come up over here. Even if you're down to 1 light, you're still getting power to it. Now, you may not be charging the smartphone or whatever you're plugging to it real well, but at least you're getting some power to it. So if you need to make an emergency call, this is a very handy thing to have. So especially if you got family members traveling by themselves, this is a very thoughtful gift to have with them. And even if they've got other chargers, this also would be a very good companion piece, because that way it's going to charge this. This is not going to charge this, but this will charge the battery much faster, so you're not waiting for a full recharge nearly as long. So those are just some ideas. Now, I do have affiliate links in the description for the video and the podcast. I do get a small amount out of that. But if you find something else, you may decide you want a larger battery. That's fine. The main thing is be prepared, or it's a nice little gift, especially when we're just now getting past Black Friday, and Cyber Monday is coming up next few days. And now through the entire holidays, there's going to be deals on things. So always keep your eye out on it. So this is going to be something very handy to have for charging. This is going to be handy to have with you to keep a device running out in the field. So you can't really go wrong on something like that. So that's all we're going to do for this one. Again, these batteries are very handy to have. You can even find some, if you're more into the DIY space, where you can go get a set of batteries and make your own portable USB battery charger. Now, the caveat I'm seeing there is, on those, they don't have the IQ terminals labeled here, so faster charging. So it's going to be a slower charge, but at least it's going to charge. It'll take a little bit longer. In an emergency, you can even throw some AA alkalines in some of them and be able to charge things that way. So just something to think about. Appreciate everybody who's watching the videos. I got a few more of the gift guide videos planned. I've got some new equipment on the way in, and we'll start doing some more of the smart home stuff here very shortly. So thank you for your time. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and make sure you click on the notifications tab to get notified when I do come out with videos. And you will see some links here to some of the other ones that I've done in the gift guide as well as the smart home series. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.